Welcome to another deep dive. Today, well, we're exploring a narrative that really kind of blurs the lines between perception and reality. And what happens when imagination, maybe fueled by a bit of fear, really takes hold. It's a story that's both wonderfully bizarre and surprisingly kind of insightful.
Oh, definitely. We're diving into a really fascinating case study, you could say, of how our minds interpret events, especially when, we're primed by expectation, how that shapes a reality that feels, well, genuinely terrifying for the person going through it.
Right. So our mission for this deep dive is to unpack a very unique source. We've got a transcript from a segment of a popular Indian TV show, Tara Kameta Ka Ulta Chashma. Specifically, is one character's really vivid ghost story. We're going to try and extract the key events, look at the surprising turns, and really dig into what this particular story tells us about fear, suggestion, maybe even the funny side of panic.
Yeah, the context is pretty important here. This transcript, it comes from a YouTube video titled Iniw Ep 4323 Popatalini, Sunai Budwali Kahani. Tarak Mehta Ka Ulta Chashma.
Mm.
So we're basically listening to a story told by this character, Popatal. He's describing this whole series of frightening, seemingly supernatural encounters he claims he experienced. It's his story, firsthand. And he tells it with this almost like comical level of genuine distress.
Yeah, it's quite something. And the story, it opens with this almost slapstick moment, doesn't it? Papatlal gets woken up because his friend Papu accidentally hits him while dreaming he's fighting a ghost. It sets this kind of weirdly funny initial tone, but that disappears really fast. It gives way to Papatlal's like undeniable deep distress about something mysterious going on at Vermaji's house. His immediate question, the thing he's panicking about, is whether the Varmas were human or ghosts last night. That's where his head is at.
It's amazing how quickly that shifts, isn't it? From being, clocked by a sleeping friend to being the absolute center of this much bigger and, for him, genuinely terrifying mystery. That initial shock, maybe combined with whatever anxieties he already had, it seems to just lay the groundwork for everything else that follows.
Oh, you can feel the tension.
Mm.
He's totally convinced the society secretary isn't taking it seriously enough, this potential ghost situation.
Right.
But the secretary pushes back, defends himself. He's like, look, I've called Vermaji 50 times, no answer, sent loads of messages, none delivered.
Standard unreachable neighbor problem, maybe.
Could be. But this back and forth about the mysterious unreachable Vermas, it eventually leads them to agree, okay, let's meet with Sodi and go investigate Vermaji's house ourselves.
And that unresolved tension, that's really the key. Because it's right then, at that moment, that Papa'al finally spills the beans. He explains why he's so utterly terrified. He saw something at Vermaji's house, a place he thought had been empty for years. And that, right there, that's where his ghost story properly takes off.
Okay, so building on that fear, the real sort of origin point for Papatlal's haunting tale starts with this figure he calls Bluetooth Baba.
Bluetooth Baba, okay.
Yeah, not just any mystic, right? Papatlal describes him as famous, connects minds, solves problems. Think like a modern guru with a techie name. Papatlal says he went for a late-night interview with this Baba. And the setting. Pure creepiness. Deserted path, strange place, dark cabin, only lit by this eerie blue glow. And then, bam, a power cut.
Wow. Okay, that's the quintessential setup for something spooky, isn't it? The isolation, the weird lighting, sudden darkness.
Yeah.
All designed to kind of throw you off balance, heighten the senses. Fertile ground for suggestion, really.
Totally. And then the Baba makes this dramatic entrance, pops up in the dark, says something like, I'm here, dude, relax, which is maybe not that relaxing.
Probably not, no.
So after the interview, Papatlal says the Baba connected minds with him, right? And delivered this absolutely chilling prophecy. He said, you need to be careful. Your ghost yoga is coming soon. You will soon face a ghost. Even destiny cannot stop your encounter with a ghost.
Ghost yoga. Okay, that's quite specific.
It's dramatic, right? Almost comically over the top. But for Papatlal, hearing this ghost yoga, this unavoidable date with the supernatural ekta just hits him. Deep, paralyzing fear. He apparently just fled in a total panic.
And that's such a critical point, because once he's been told, point blank, you'll meet a ghost, destiny says so. Well, every little weird thing that happens after that can easily be slotted into that framework, can't it? It becomes this, like, psychological filter, almost a self-fulfilling prophecy where his mind is actively looking for and finding proof of ghosts everywhere.
Exactly. And this is where it gets really fascinating, psychologically speaking, because his journey home turns into this parade of strange events where every sort of normal-ish thing gets magnified by this terror. First up, what he calls the vanishing man. He's waiting for a rickshaw, feels a hand on his shoulder, instantly thinks ghost.
Right, the prophecy kicking in immediately.
Yeah. But it turns out to be, just a guy, a human wanting to know the time for his watch. But, and here's the kicker, as Papa Lal looks down at his watch to check, the man just disappears, vanishes before he can even answer.
Oh, okay. So a totally mundane interaction asking for the time gets instantly warped by Poppet Lal's primed mind into something terrifying. A vanishing act. This isn't just a quirky coincidence for him now. It's like the first concrete sign that the ghost yoga is happening. His brain's connecting dots, whether they're actually there or not.
Precisely. Then, next thing, a rickshaw shows up, and it looks like it's driving itself. Stops right in front of him.
Okay, a driverless rickshaw. That is spooky.
Well, a voice from inside asks, "Where to, sir?" And Poppet Lal, totally panicked, his first reaction is to ask if he looks like a ghost.
He projects his fear onto the situation.
Totally. Then the driver pops up. Turns out he just bent down to pick up his phone. Simple explanation. Poppet Lal, still shaking, asks to go to Gokuldam Society.
It's almost funnier that there is a mundane explanation, isn't it? It just highlights how much his panic is coloring everything he sees. He's so deep in the fear.
And the weird trip isn't over. En route, he spots this red lantern. Looks like it's just floating in the air. Spooky, right?
Definitely adds to the atmosphere.
Then he realizes, oh, okay, an old man is holding it. Cool. But then the old man asks for a lift to a cemetery. Says he's the watchman there.
To a cemetery, of course.
And what does the rickshaw driver do? He drives Poppet Lal through the graveyard to drop the watchman off.
Okay, if we're connecting the dots here, Poppet Lal is basically hitting a jackpot of mundane, maybe slightly unusual coincidences that just perfectly line up with that Bluetooth Baba prophecy. Each one just feeds the fear, reinforces his conviction, like pieces of this terrifying puzzle clicking into place for him.
And the weirdness doesn't even stop when he gets dropped off. He's finally back near his society, probably thinking, okay, almost home free, only to then see that skeleton riding a bike.
A skeleton on a bike.
Yeah.
Seriously.
That's what he says. He describes diving behind a lottery ticket stand to hide as this, skeletal figure just rides past him.
Wow. Okay. I mean, skeleton on a bike, classic horror image, sure. But again, how easily could that have been, someone thin in weird clothes? Or just a trick of the light in the dark? His mind is just leaping to the most terrifying conclusion instantly.
And then it gets even weirder. Near Abdul's shop, he sees what he called a horrible bike, a Bianc bike.
A horrible bike? What makes a bike horrible?
He describes it, says it had a ghost's face on the front, no petrol tank, but ribs in its place. He really stressed this was a ghostly bike, a Busha bike, so not just a skeleton rider, but the bike itself was ghostly.
It's the buildup, isn't it? The accumulation of all these small, bizarre details, all described with such absolute conviction. That's what makes the story so vivid and for him so undeniably real. He's seeing exactly what that prophecy told him he would see, even if it defies logic, because his mind's already made up. So the climax. It all comes together at Burmaji's house. He finally gets back to the society compound, looks up, and sees the lights at Burmaji's place flickering. On and off, on and off. He tells everyone what he's been through this whole crazy journey, but Sodi, one of the other characters, just thinks it's a prank. And when they look from the balcony, the lights seem fine. Normal. Nobody else sees the flickering.
Ah, okay, so the external validation isn't there. His experience is totally subjective at this point, which kind of reinforces the idea that it's his fear, his expectations shaping his reality, rather than some shared objective thing happening.
But then Peeth, another neighbor, gives Poppet Lal a bit of courage. And as Poppet Lal starts walking towards his own home, he looks back, and the lights at Vermaji's house start flickering again.
Oh boy. Just for him, seemingly.
Seems like it. So, mustering up whatever courage he has left, Poppet Lal actually goes up to Vermaji's house, and he notices the door's unlocked. No lock, no tala, he says. That seals it for him. Someone must be inside.
Yeah, he's going for it. He reaches out, about to ring the doorbell. And then he hears it. The distinct sound of, A witch's laughter.
Oh, witch's laughter. Oh, come on.
That's what sends him over the edge. He just bolts, flees back downstairs in absolute terror.
That laughter, that's the final piece, isn't it? The auditory confirmation. For him, that's undeniable proof of something supernatural. He's fully committed now. There's no other explanation in his mind.
And then for the final confirmation.
Yeah.
He's downstairs, looks back up at Vermigee's house one last time, and sees a shadow moving in the window. That's it. Solidified. It was a ghost.
Intense, utterly convinced.
And then just as he's at this absolute peak of terror, certain he's seen a ghost. Nothing. The story just cuts off, abruptly ends. Cuts to what sounds like a commercial jingle. Welcome, Seth G. Welcome to God Electronics.
What?
Yeah. Leaves us, the listeners, just hanging. Right there in his moment of absolute panic.
Wow, that's quite the ending. Or non-ending. What a wild ride. It's this really incredible mix, isn't it? Bog standard daily life, some genuinely funny bits, and then these undeniably strange events, all filtered through one guy's escalating, deeply felt fear.
So what does this all mean for us, listening to this? I mean, the story, even though it's got these fantastical, over-the-top elements, it somehow manages to create real suspense, real unease. It's down to the specific details, yeah. But also Puppet Lal's genuine, unwavering fear. That Bluetooth Baba prophecy really did set the stage, didn't it?
Absolutely.
It basically primed Puppet Lal to see every weird, ambiguous thing that happened next through that specific lens, that looming supernatural encounter. He essentially created his own terrifying reality.
That's a really critical takeaway. It just highlights how incredibly powerful suggestion can be. Once you're given a framework like, a prophecy about meeting a ghost, our minds can become amazingly good at finding proof for it. Even in mundane stuff, every flickering light, every odd sound, every slightly strange encounter, it all becomes undeniable evidence when you're already primed to believe, like confirmation bias on overdrive.
Which brings us to a final thought for you, our listener. What is it about our minds, do you think, that once given a suggestion, like a prophecy, can twist everyday coincidences into proof of the supernatural? And maybe what makes us, even listening to a fictional story like Puppet Lal's, lean in and suspend our disbelief, even when there are often humorous, perfectly rational explanations staring us in the face. Something to ponder. Until next time, stay curious. And maybe think twice before asking mysterious strangers for the time late at night.